They didn't understand what they were fighting until it was too late. The Varaxi Dominion, 12,000 years old, spanning hundreds of star systems, had catalogued every known sapient species in the galaxy. They conquered with elegance, absorbed with precision, and neutralized resistance with clinical detachment. Their legions were grown in birthing chambers, their strategies optimized by immortal thought cores, and their fleets powered by suns. When they found Earth, they didn't even bother preparing for war. Their scouts observed us for 8 cycles. They saw our violence, our contradictions, our fractured governments, and dismissed us as primitive, volatile, yes, but limited. They called us the Ashborn, a reference to our constant state of self-destruction. We weren't a threat, we were a clean-up job. They attacked without warning. Within weeks, Earth's skies turned red. Our moon was shattered by kinetic rods. Cities burned, communication blacked out, and our orbital defences fell like glass to a hammer. Billions died. Resistance was broken before it began, or so they believed. What they didn't understand, what no species before them had ever understood, was what happens when you back humanity into a corner. They had never seen willpower weaponized. The Varaxi viewed war as mathematics, loss ratios, probability curves, acceptable attrition. They measured life in cycles, not in meaning. They could not grasp the concept of a soldier fighting on after their organs failed, of a medic dragging comrades through nuclear ash for one more breath. They saw no sense in children picking up weapons to defend the bones of their cities. They called us irrational. They were right. We are irrational. That's our strength. It started with scattered cells, remnants of Earth's militaries, civilian engineers, rogue AIs, and millions of desperate survivors. Outgunned, outmaneuvered, outnumbered. But the more we lost, the harder we fought. The Varaxi broadcast our defeats across the stars as propaganda. What they didn't see was what happened after the battles. Not surrender. Rage. Survivors didn't run. They adapted. One of the first victories wasn't in space. It was underground. In the ruins of old Moscow, a militia armed with nothing but home-forged knives and stolen Varaxi pulse rifles lured a battalion of Dominion enforcers into the metro tunnels. They cut them to pieces. No retreat. No prisoners. One woman, missing both legs, reportedly held the last choke point for 11 hours with only one functioning arm and a pressure-activated mine. When they reached her, she was already dead, but 50 Dominion bodies lay around her. That story went viral across human resistance networks, and then across alien ones. You see, it wasn't just humans watching anymore. The galaxy had other subjugated races, others who had given up hope. But when they saw what we were doing, how we refused to break, they began to rise too. The Varaxi tried to crush the rebellion the way they always had. Targeted strikes, resource deprivation, planetary sieges. They destroyed colonies, poisoned atmospheres, sterilized regions. All logical, all devastating. But humanity doesn't fight with logic. We fight with memory. Every atrocity they committed became a rallying cry. We etched their crimes into the hulls of our ships. We named our weapons after the worlds they burned. We taught our children to scream before they shot, and we never gave them the satisfaction of surrender. You cannot calculate the morale of a species that refuses to die. When we started taking back systems, it wasn't with superior firepower. It was with endurance. We'd take a planet, lose it, and take it again. We'd rebuild broken ships from scrap and rage. Our captains weren't tacticians, they were survivors. Our soldiers didn't need orders, they needed reasons, and those were in endless supply. One by one, Dominion strongholds fell, sometimes through sabotage, sometimes through sheer attrition, sometimes because their own subjugated species turned against them. We didn't bring freedom. We brought something far more dangerous: hope, the kind that spreads like a virus through broken hearts. The turning point came at Garen's Vale, a Varaxi fortress world, a strategic linchpin controlling 7 key sectors. The Dominion had fortified it for centuries. 10 human ships arrived, cobbled together from 5 different navies, held together with glue, grit, and outdated code. They should have been vaporized in minutes. Instead, they fought for 14 days, refusing to retreat, ramming enemy ships when they ran out of ammo, jamming comms with static and earth music. When the last ship, the Defiant Dawn, crashed into the planetary shield generator and detonated its core reactor, they sent a message before impact. We are the will of the forgotten. You cannot kill what refuses to die. That was the beginning of the end for the Viraxi Dominion. What followed was not a war. It was a reckoning. Their fleets began deserting. Their soldiers questioned their cause. Systems they'd held for millennia collapsed overnight. Entire species they had dominated began fighting back, not because they believed they could win, but because humanity had shown them that losing with fire in your soul was better than surviving on your knees. The Viraxi Council eventually sued for peace. They sent emissaries to our coalition. They offered reparations, treaties, apologies. An old war vet from the Terran colonies, blind in both eyes, wrapped in exo-limbs, voiced like gravel, met them in the neutral system of Zereth Prime. The aliens offered him a ceremonial blade as a sign of good faith. He took it, studied it, and said one sentence before walking away: "You can't buy off memory." Humanity didn't take their throne. We didn't need it. The Dominion collapsed under the weight of what they feared most. The idea that there was something in the galaxy you couldn't break, couldn't control, couldn't erase. It wasn't our ships they feared. It wasn't even our weapons. It was our will. They thought war was won by strength. We taught them it's won by refusing to fall, no matter how many times you're struck. And that lesson was the last thing they ever learned.